Actually, yeah, give me your G.
My G. Michael Coleman is an absent-minded woman. And
Yeah.
Not the Abbey, right?
Correct.
Just Michael Coleman is an absent. Okay, cool.
Right. See how that goes. That going on. Ready?
Yep.
Two.
Here's 40 shillings on the drum for those who volunteer to come to list and fight the foe today, over the hills and far away. O'er the hills and o'er the main, through Flanders, Portugal and Spain, King George commands and we obey. Over the hills and far away. When duty calls me, I must go to stand and face another foe. But part of me will always stray over the hills and far away. O'er the hills and o'er the main, through Flanders, Portugal and Spain, King George commands and we obey. Over the hills and far away. If I should fall and rise no more, as many comrades did before, just ask the fifes and drums to play. Over the hills and far away. O'er the hills and o'er the main, through Flanders, Portugal and Spain, King George commands and we obey. Over the hills and far away. O'er the hills and o'er the main, through Flanders, Portugal and Spain, King George commands and we obey. Over the hills and far away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
his ox stood from house to house he'd go. Johnny, when you die, will you give to me your fiddle? Oh, Johnny, when you die, will you give to me your bow? He entertained the boys and girls who lived down in the village show. He played for them the lively tunes we danced to long ago. Johnny, when you die, will you give to me your fiddle? Oh, Johnny, when you die, will you give to me your bow? Take your partners to the floor, step it out in twos and fours. Johnny's gonna play with his fiddle and his bow. Johnny, when you die, will you give to me your fiddle? Oh, Johnny, when you die, will you give to me your bow? As I came to Sandgate, to Sandgate, to Sandgate, as I came to Sandgate, I heard a lassie sing. We'll make a keel-row, the keel-row, the keel-row. We'll make a keel-row that my laddie's in. He wears a blue bonnet, blue bonnet, blue bonnet. He wears a blue bonnet with a dimple in his chin. We'll make a keel-row, the keel-row, the keel-row. We'll make a keel-row that my laddie's in.
Thank you.
Uh-oh. Incoming.
Turn off your microphones.
These rank amateurs, it's supposed to be showbiz. Welcome everybody, and thanks so much for coming out to the Celtic Junction Arts Center 2021 fundraiser. My name is Jim Tarbox. I'll be your MC for the night. I am a member of the board, and you may know also that I'm the drum major of St. Paul's Brian Boru Irish Pipe Band. And that was Jim Burke who piped me in here. I think I feel just like the Pope probably did when he was in Scotland recently, and the pipes weathered him in there. And we especially are grateful to the people who are with us tonight. We hope you have a grand time, and also to our visitors on our live stream. We welcome you all gladly, whether you're Irish or not. We come together tonight to celebrate and support this amazing institution. Celtic Junction, we are celebrating the 5th year as an institution, as well as celebrating some amazing growth, leadership, and success. CJAC has been putting Minnesota on the map around the world. You may have seen references to the Junction in such national and international publications as the Irish Echo, Irish Central, Irish Stew. You all have helped put Minnesota on the map. What you have made possible needs to be sustained, though, and to grow, and I'm here to tell you how you can help us do that. There's a QR code on your screen to which you can hold your phone or tablet that will get you to our PayPal link. You can also visit the CJAC website at celticjunction.org, and they will both take you to our our PayPal link. And there's also GiveMin, GIVEMN.org, to make a donation there. And especially for those of you who are here in person, we do indeed still accept checks. So we'll be happy to take any donations gratefully. And as the evening goes on, you'll hear more about the exciting developments at Celtic Junction from Executive Director Natalie O'Shea and some of our program directors. And we have at this time, I have the special honor of presenting a special message from our Consul General, Kevin Byrne, and Vice Consul General, Sarah Keating.
Hello everyone, I'm Kevin Byrne, Ireland's Consul General to the Midwest.
And I'm Sarah Keating, Vice Consul to the Midwest.
We're so sorry that we can't be there with you this evening for Celtic Junction's annual fundraiser. With travel opening up again between the US and Ireland, we have one of Ireland's government ministers, Jack Chambers, the Minister for Sport and the Irish Language, visiting us here in Chicago this weekend.
We were delighted to have the opportunity to visit St. Paul this summer when we attended the Irish Fair of Minnesota, and we had such a wonderful time meeting so much of the community there. We're already looking forward to having the opportunity to come back again next year.
And not long after the fair, Ireland's ambassador to the US, Dan Mulhall, and his wife Greta and I had the opportunity to see the great work of the Celtic Junction up close when we spent an evening with you all. The ambassador and his wife and myself were completely blown away by the quality of talent, the energy and the engagement at the Twilight concert that we were treated to at the Junction.
We're firm believers in the important work being done by Celtic Junction in providing a home to Irish culture and heritage in Minnesota, and we're delighted to be able to provide support to this work through the Immigrant Support Program. We know that all of you there tonight are also supporters of the wonderful work being done by Celtic Junction, and we encourage you to continue with this generous support and help it grow by introducing the Junction to your friends and family.
I know that you're in for a wonderful evening of culture, of music, of song, and of an engagement. So we won't keep you any longer from the great evening that you have ahead. Please enjoy this evening, and we look forward to the chance to be with you again in the not too distant future.
Tásúla Gwen go mac ihe deas ag gach duine, buin soltas. Slán.
Thank you all so much. Good evening.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I please present the Celtic Junction Arts Center Executive Director, Natalie O'Shea.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for trusting us to welcome you here. Thank you for working to keep each other safe. I have a confession to make. So the way that Jim started off is, of course, to welcome anybody, whether you're Irish or not. So I know I have a double-barreled name, Natalie Nugent O'Shea, but my confession is this: I'm not all Irish. There's a huge part of Scandinavian that has worked into the system right here. And it's actually become very useful, and this is why I want to make sure you guys know how welcome you all are. You don't have to be Italian to love pasta. You don't have to be Irish to love this. I lean Irish when I would like to be more welcoming and charming, and I lean Scandinavian when I need to get things done. So, you're welcome. That's how a lot of things happen here. Thank you, Chad, darling. So you guys, everybody has a part to play here, and you are all just as important as each other. So it's really a deep, deep honor to have you here tonight, because we haven't had a public gathering in this room since March 12th, 2020. So you guys are very, very, very special welcome guests. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, you guys might know what you're here for tonight. You might think it's to raise money. Well, it is. It is actually, and we need your help to do that, because we don't want to just be your Irish Cultural Center for a short while. We want to be here for a long time to come. So that what you guys are doing is helping us to make the connections, to find the sustaining gifts that are going to help us stay here for 5, 10, and even 20 years. But you're not just here to do that, you're also here to help us figure out the why. Why has this become important? Why have these walls transformed these group of disparate people. Because we're not all Irish, and we're not all dancers, and we're not all musicians, and we're not all literary geniuses. Welcome, Tom Redshaw, I see you right there. We come together because these walls have made a place, a home, a hub, and you guys have filled it with your magic, with your community, with your inspiration, and with your support. And that you are exactly why this building is here, and we are here to serve you. So you are here for your vision tonight, to let us know why we are important to you and what you want us to be 5, 10, and even 20 years to come. Please share with us your ideas, your inspirations, and your heartfelt moments, some of which we will get to share throughout the night. Now, we get to celebrate, and part of that is with music. It is my deep pleasure to be featuring these dear friends on the stage. We have from your right, Buddy Ferrari, Siobhan Dugan, and Chad McNally. This is Rupali.
Under a bank of blooming roses, while on the quay the ships were waiting, this young couple stood repeating, love, farewell, darling, farewell, and it's all for parting, love, farewell.
Johnny dear, now do not leave me, for your absence it would grieve me. For if you go where the cannons rattle, I greatly fear you will fall in battle. Love, farewell, darling, farewell, and it's all for parting, love, farewell. Molly dear, now do not mourn me, for there's a relief at my returning. When I come back from the war's alarm, I'll gently roll you in my arms. Love, farewell, darling, farewell, and it's all for parting, love, farewell. The old woman says, now do not wrong me, do not take my daughter from me, for if you do I will torment you, and after death my ghost will haunt you. Love, farewell, darling, farewell, and it's all for parting, love, farewell. The ship now she sails on the stormy ocean, seeking out on high promotion, while the trumpets sound and the drums are beating. March, my boys, for there's no retreating. Love, farewell, darling, farewell, and it's all for parting, love, farewell.
Thank you.
There we go. So seeing that this is the Celtic Junction, do you want to introduce this? Or? No? Okay. We're going to do a song from Brittany, which is the northwest tip of France, where they speak a Celtic language called Breton in French, Breton in English. This was recorded by one of my childhood's heroes, Alan Stivell.
It's a rollicking sailor song, Tri Matalod.
But there won't be any fog or translucent harps or laser lights. So.
There might be. Don't tempt
Short
them.
notice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These languages have way too many syllables per note.
So in honor of the season, it's a little bit of a spooky song, very old, and Chad will be playing some very, very old style harp to match it. Didn't take much persuasion. This is the False Night. It's one of the child ballads which are known all through the British Isles.
Stick in my hand, said the child as he stood, and he stood, and he stood, and well he stood, with a stout staff in my hand, said the child as he stood. With a good boat under me, said the child as he stood, and he stood, and he stood, and well he stood, with a good boat under me, said the child as he stood. I think I hear a bell, said the night on the road. It's ringing you to hell, said the child as he stood. And he stood, and he stood, and well, he stood. It's ringing you to hell, said the child as he stood.
Thank you. And thank you for Siobhan, because that's Frank Hart, from whom that song came, is a very, very hard act to follow as far as traditional singers go. So, what do we want to do next here?
You guys probably want to big tunes, don't you? Oh, Jug of Punch. Seamus.
Yes. So one more? Okay. Well, we'll make it a good one then. How about something drinking oriented? That's, I know, a bit off label for this crowd, but.
On the 23rd of June, as I sat weaving all at my loom. On the 23rd of June, as I sat weaving all at my loom, I heard a thrush singing in yon bush, and the song he sang was a jug of punch. Tra-la-la-la-dee-da-ray-dum-diddle-diddle-dum, pleasure could a boy desire than to sit him down, oh, beside the fire? What more pleasure could a boy desire than to sit him down, oh, beside the fire? And in his hand, oh, a jug of punch, and on his knee, a tidy wench. La-la-la-la-la-dum-diddle-diddle-dum, idly-idly-um-dum-dum-dum-day. When I am dead and my drinking's o'er, I'll drink one glass, then I'll think no more. When I am dead and my drinking's o'er, I'll drink one glass, then I'll drink no more. For fear I mightn't get it on that day, I will drink it now and I'll drink away. La-la-la-da-day, dum-dum-diddle-diddle-day, la-la-la-la-day. What more hardship could a boy endure than to sit him down, oh, behind the door? What more hardship could a boy endure than to sit him down, oh, behind the door? And in his hand, oh no, jug of punch, and on his knee, no tidy wench. Father all the day, for right do diddle diddle dum, I lum dum 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 day.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
everyone who came.
Well, thank you, Ripley. That was grand. That was also likely the mellowest drinking song I've ever heard. I'm guessing that must be a morning after drinking song. And I can tell you, I have been there more than once. So once again, and you will hear this repeatedly tonight, we'd like to remind you on how you can give as generously as you may. We have a QR code on our screen that you can hold up your phone or tablet to. That will get you to our PayPal link. Or you can also go to the Celtic Junction website at celticjunction.org or give men, that's GIVEMN.org, and make a donation there, which will be gratefully accepted. And now we would like to move into the concert section of one of our main missions here at Celtic Junction. And so we're going to kick this section off with a video clip, after which I will introduce Cormac O'Shea.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to intercept that while we're pulling stuff off the stage, and I will just give a brief little introduction. First thing I wanted to do was offer you all a quick toast. I'm just getting my first taste of Red Locks, and it's definitely livening up my night. We've all been very quiet while we're having our dinner here. So now it's time for a little bit more rowdy. We're all trying to learn how to behave again, I think, how to actually interact with people again. So cheers to you all, and here's to a better 2022 ahead. So thank you so much to Red Locks, to Kieran and the whole team for sponsoring us tonight. So when we have the stage cleared here and you'll be able to see the little video, I tried to capture a little bit of the energy of some of what we talked about last year at our fundraiser in the midst of COVID last year. We did a lot of interviews. We spoke to lots of our community members, and there's a couple of pieces that really stuck out. The first one here is a very good friend and a man who is in the room, but he's indisposed at this moment. He's not able to actually come up and speak to you because he's running our live stream and he is directing our cameras, and that's Mr. Pete McCauley. So he is become such a dear friend, and he had a couple of little thoughts here that we thought I would have him share with you on screen. So we'll roll that.
This venue is a super high quality concert venue, and I think a lot of people in the community, there's a lot of people in our local Irish support community, whether you're Irish or not, but support the Irish arts, know of this venue and they know how high quality it is. But there's a larger community that I don't think know just how incredible a concert venue this is. You know, I mean, I think it rivals the Cedar Cultural Center absolutely in the kind of sound quality and the lighting and the stage. It's not as big, but that's kind of nice, especially for local artists, because, you know, speaking as a local artist myself, being able to put on a concert here, and even if you only bring in 100 people, it feels really rich. You know, it feels packed. It feels like a real concert event. And you don't have venues like that elsewhere in the cities. They start at about 300 seats and up, and they get kind of expensive. If you want to book something on an independent basis and have an event or a concert, it can be really expensive, and then you have to worry about insurance, and there's all kinds of stuff that make it hard for small independent artists to have these kind of events. But the Celtic Junction is a perfect place for that. And not only is it great from a, you know, accessibility standpoint, but it's such a high quality venue.
Thank you, Pete, for those words. I'm just looking at the screen and glad I didn't wear the same shirt. Yeah, he meant every word. That's what he said. So yeah, that was myself and Pete sitting down last year speaking about. You know, we had a whole series of interviews that we did in our fundraiser, and that one just really stuck with me. His sincerity of speaking about it, and it's obviously very gratifying for me. This is a project we set out on almost a dozen years ago now, and concerts was kind of at the center of that mission at that time. Little did we know that we would have education classes, that we would have a library of Irish books, and that we would do so much outreach work in the community. It was really selfish on my part because I just really was seeing lots of colleagues and musicians I admired passing over the Twin Cities. And my next video here kind of brings that into light. A man familiar to you all, Mr. Brian Miller, is going to give you a few thoughts about how people pass over Minnesota and what solutions we've been trying to put in place to stop that. So we'll roll this one here.
I mean, I do sort of know the perspective that you have if you're a band that's traveling around the United States and you look at the map and you know, maybe you have a festival or maybe you have a gig, some big gig in some part of the United States, and we're going to try to build a tour around this. We're going to add some dates. We're going to go in some direction, right? And I can tell you, Minnesota, in those conversations, is at where the sidewalk ends for most bands, you know, and they're looking at their map and they're going to Chicago, and will we go up to Milwaukee and do a gig? Oh, sure, maybe we'll try doing a gig there, and then they look at this great unknown, the great white north.
I can tell you that a lot of the conversations I've had over the years where people, they've kind of picked up the phone and called and not known whether, been very non-committal, I suppose, because they're just thinking to themselves, there's nothing beyond here. There's no way to connect.
There can be that sense, I think, you know, especially for a band like Malinky or some band from Ireland or the UK, or they're coming over and they see Chicago and they know that name, and then there's this Minnesota place that's like 7 hours down the road. And of course, you know, like there is a long history of people coming here and playing at the Cedar and playing at other local venues or local festivals. But it really, like, what's happened with the Celtic Junction is that if you're playing, you know, traditional Irish music, you're playing any kind of Celtic music, it's really on the map as a venue that's specifically for you and has that audience, has that cultural affinity for the music. And when you see that and you're looking at a map of the United States there with your band, or, you know, going back and forth over email or however you're doing it, and you're thinking, where will we go? And you know that this place has a community and has a cultural center specifically aimed at your type of music, it puts it on the map. And it literally puts it on your tour map.
Thank you, Brian. That conversation resonated with me for a long time because that really was the goal. It was not to be skipped over. As we said there, you go west of here and it's difficult to find a venue. You might be in Montana by the time you find somewhere that's really keen to book your Irish act. So that was one of the things we set out as a goal, and people like yourselves are those who have made that happen. We can't do it without an audience, and we're looking forward over this coming number of months here. I can't be very specific or committal because it's difficult to commit to anything at the moment, but this has been a huge step for us to have. I don't know, what do we have, 60 people in the room? That's about 4 times as many people have been in the room. We did some live stream concerts, and we've had a couple of events that have had, you know, no in-person audience, and it's not quite the same. So you all have to make up for it. You all have to feel like you're 4 times your usual rambunctiousness to kind of have it feel like a typical night in here. Over the coming months, we actually do have a couple of acts. We might even have an act in from Ireland at this stage. This is the first little inkling of like the door opening. A band that I've been following for a long time called Jig Jam, and they are looking at coming here in the early part of March. So that's the first little. You can just see the door opening to touring, and I can't imagine how devastating it has been for artists who really coming to America it's kind of like their livelihood. They might tour at a loss, even, you know, traveling around the country, but it's where they would sell their wares, and then they can bring it home and say to people, look, we were big in America, now you can appreciate us at home. And the Irish in here will understand that. You have to go away to be appreciated, and then you come home and they say, oh yeah, you know, you're very good. So moving on, I wanted to bring, keeping it in the family here with Mr. Miller, I wanted to bring his his other half here, but she has many titles, many roles. She's been a performer on this stage and on the outdoor stage, which we'll talk about that shortly, many times. And our close partners here at Celtic Junction are the Centre for Irish Music. They have their tendency and their commitment to being part of this facility has really allowed so much of what we've wanted to do to happen, to have such a strong and vibrant organization. They bring events in here all the time. We try to help them and partner with them to do that. And it just really occurred to me that Nora's voice was incredibly important. So we're going to bring Miss Nora Endel up here to have a couple of words with you about how the Celtic Junction has been a part of the Centre for Irish Music journey over the last maybe 10 to a dozen years. So Nora.
Wonderful. Thanks, Cormac. It's wonderful to be in this room full of people and great cheer, and it's a huge relief to me, and I know it is to Natalie and Cormac as well. So the Centre for Irish Music is the music school based in this building, and I'm a touring musician, but I'm a teacher now. And this, I mean, it's hard to really quantify how much what's happened at the Celtic Junction has changed, how much it's brought to the community here, because it's a whole bunch of different things, little things here and there and big things here and there. And for years and years, they've been presenting these concerts. So as the director of a school and the teacher, I'm a main teacher there, one of the main teachers, the concerts in the before times that were happening here, they were inspiring to these young musicians in a way that is, there's just nothing like being in a room with real people, real musicians playing on a stage, a small venue like this. And it's inspiring in a way that it's indescribable, and it's been happening for over 10 years. And so we're seeing 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, I mean, really hundreds of musicians who've been inspired by the concerts here, learning at the Centre for Irish Music. And had these concerts not been here, that kind of that kind of inspiration of seeing somebody who you can see, you can imagine yourself, I want to be on that stage, I want to do something like that. It helps to contextualize right here in the same building what they're learning and what they're doing. So that's why I think you should all support the Celtic Junction Arts Center. But also as a musician, I mean, I don't think I could say it better than Pete McCauley and Brian Miller. As a musician who's toured, I came here as a touring musician who is touring in Europe and in Ireland and the UK and in North America, including the United States. And it's just wonderful to have this venue. So they do really important work, and they have partnered with CIM many, many times, kind of constantly, have really helped our organization to be vibrant and relevant. It's modern. It's a living tradition, right?
It is, and
thank you,
Nora.
everyone.
People could be forgiven for being confused. People call up our telephone and they said, I'm trying to reach the Centre for Irish Music, and people call the Centre for Irish Music, I'm trying to reach Celtic Junction. And that's kind of how close our organizations are. Though we are completely actually separate organizations, we do so much collaboration, so much work together. We share resources, we share information, we share volunteers, we share experiences together, and they've been an absolutely key partner in all of that. And as Nora said, we're now starting to see generations of young musicians who we then can book to play here, and give them the opportunity to cut their teeth to go out into the big bad world. And we had a couple of young lads who happened to be dancers with us as well, and who had grown up in the music school, and they're off playing in Disney now down in Florida for the last, I think about 6 or 7 months, and they're playing Irish music. They're playing 6 gigs a day, and it's just really gratifying to see different people. We've got lots of people going through music college and all that kind of stuff. So our partnership with Centre for Irish Music is very important. All right, so we built this outdoor stage, and that's probably the most exciting news of the year. Last year, in part of those same interviews we were talking about, we did this kind of experimental outdoor concert series over a weekend in September in 2020. I don't remember which year. And it didn't even require almost telling people about it. All of a sudden it was just, there were people coming, there was more people coming, there was tickets selling, and it just felt like this was what people were waiting for. and we had a fantastic 3 days of music, and that got everybody head scratching and thinking, I wonder, could we do this on a more permanent basis? So thanks to help from the Creative Enterprise Zone and from the board of the organization and from donors like yourself, we sought the permission and we got the planning and we got a permit and we built an outdoor stage. And that's been our lifeblood for concerts and for events all summer long. As was mentioned earlier, we had, by the consulate, we had the ambassador here, which Natalie will talk about more, and you'll see some footage of that. We've had all kinds of varieties. It has benefited all parts of our association with the Junction. And there has been lots of other organizations that it has helped. You know, back to Nora again, the Minnesota Irish Musicians Weekend happened on the outdoor stage, and that was largely what enabled it to be a partially in-person event. So the outdoor stage really has been an absolute, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe you all have words for it. For me, it was a tremendous amount of work this summer, but it just never felt like it was any hassle or any trouble, because it was bringing so much joy and happiness to people, and it was giving people an opportunity to play in what felt like a safe scenario for them. So we're going to run a little highlight reel here. It's a couple of minutes. So for those of you in the room, if this is your opportunity, if you want to chat out loud, we'll be running the video on the live stream, but do watch along and see some of the great events we had on the outdoor stage this year. So that last clip there is a slightly sobering moment to saying goodbye to a wonderful performer, Dave Stencil. And a man who never got to play on the outdoor stage. He played on this stage many, many times, and is someone who we got to meet, and all of these great musicians who we've gotten to meet through the creation of this fine space. So for us, you can see the outdoor stage obviously presents a whole new opportunity for us. One of the things that we are looking for some funding and support tonight is to actually, the very chairs that you're sitting on, we have dragged them outside this summer, we dragged them back inside, we dragged them outside, we dragged them back inside. Jim has wielded that cart up and down that sidewalk too many times. So one of the things we're hoping to do is purchase some kind of a storage building and some outdoor chairs. Possibly, if we're very well looked after, we may try and do some umbrellas, we might try and do some tables so people set a drink down, stuff like that, but really to kind of develop the opportunities that are out there, because next summer I think is going to be a busy summer out there. We already have some events booking for now, so really looking forward to it. So that's my big ask to you tonight. If you are feeling generous and you feel like supporting the concerts program, and it really, this opportunity to support the outdoor stage, really it supports the whole organization, because it has been our vehicle, it has been our way to gather all summer, up until our gathering tonight. So thank you so much, and I will pass you back to Trustee Jim here to bring you on through our other programs. Really appreciate it. Take care.
I was usually the tallest guy in the room, but now I have to adjust the microphone. I'm thinking that once we meet our Celtic Junction goals, we might pass the hat and get Cormac a new shirt for next year. We'll see how things go. So once again, I would remind you of your opportunities to donate to our cause. Again, I think you can see the QR code there on the bottom of your screen. Hold your tablet or phone up to that. That'll take you to our PayPal link. You can also give it our website or at givemin.org. And for those of you in the crowd here, you will notice on your table a couple of things. You also have access to the QR code, so you can go right to the website or to the PayPal link there, or if you'd like to make a check out or even just make a pledge. There's envelopes on the table as well. Joanne Vano, one of my fellow board members, is at table 6, I think. She's back there somewhere. I might be one of the tallest guys in the room. I think Joanne is one of the shortest, so she should be equally easy to find. She will be happy to take pledges and checks and anything else. So for our next section, we are going to take a look at the education program here at Celtic Junction. And last year was one of our best years. Last year, the education program was the focus of our fundraising event, and it was a huge task. It was a huge ask, but I'm happy to report that we made it, and we will be acknowledging a donor soon at the end of this. But at this time, we are going to look at a video of a little bit that tells about the Irish College here at Celtic Junction.
The Irish College idea is a fantastic engine to put under an educational mission here in Minnesota, because it allows us to have deep roots rather than just simply saying we're putting on classes, where we've got deep roots in the national psyche of Ireland. What is it about Celtic Junction that particularly seems to be working, or is kind of an optimal offering here in the Twin Cities?
Well, I think for me it's the intersection of so many things: the library, the dance, the music that's here, the programming, the concerts, the classes. It all comes together in one place, which I think is really unique and really valuable to the Twin City area.
You have been teaching in the Irish College, which is the educational side of the Celtic Junction. How have you been finding classes and the transition from in-person to the coronavirus Zoom environment?
I'm used to teaching small classes. My classes in colleges were never very large. And so to have 8 or 9 students on Zoom, you can get them all in one picture, you can see facial expressions. It really works for me. I haven't had the opportunity yet to teach here in person, but I look forward to doing that too. But I think there's some real advantage to Zoom as it broadens our catchment basin, and we can reach out to people all over the country, all over the world, as you well know.
What is your thinking about once the new classroom comes on stream? Do you think that we'd have perhaps even more momentum and more energy in how we're presenting? Or
Oh, I think so. I think there are students who just wanted to take class in person, and faculty members who frankly want to teach in person. So I think it's going to expand our students and probably also our teaching. And as I understand it from the plans that I've seen, it's going to be a beautiful room too.
They're still going to be following the color scheme of the Book of Kells, which is the feeling that you're inside the Book of Kells is quite a unique, elevated state of consciousness, particularly when you're conversing with students. We're able to build a community of learners, particularly with the Irish language, but we're also doing that with the literature, history, and creative arts.
So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'd like to present Dr. Patrick O'Donnell, the director of our Irish College.
Thank you. It has been a fantastic honor and privilege for me to work with Natalie and Cormac and the great community of learners we have here at Celtic Junction to set up the Irish College. We're going into our 5th year, and we've had 5 years of growth. We're at the most teachers, 11 teachers in this particular quarter. We're offering 18 classes. We have 3 departments: Department of Irish, we have a Department of History and Literature, and Creative Arts. So just this week, you could be learning how to draw Celtic, Norse, and Indigenous mythology. We were doing Loki on Thursday night. You could be learning the Irish language. You could be learning recently about, today I was teaching a class on the Mabinogions. You could be learning about King Arthur and the great body of Welsh stories. So we have been growing our community of learners. We have been very blessed to get a great donation last year from Tom Redshaw. And we're going to have a beautiful new classroom beginning in 2022. A very important year in Irish history, centenary of the foundation of the Irish Free State, 100th anniversary of James Joyce's novel being published in Paris in February 2nd. And so we're delving into the deeper story and lore and culture to complement the music, the dance, and all the other great artistic offerings. So I'll just tell you one quick story. Recently in the last year, they discovered the bone of a reindeer in a cave in Cork. And they did an analysis of the reindeer bone, and it showed that because of the carving on the bone, it showed human habitation going back. Now, initially we thought it was about 12,000 years, but they kicked it back to 33,000 years. So our job in the Irish College of Minnesota is to not tell a 12,000 year story. We're now trying to tell a 33,000 year story. And don't think too much why they were following those reindeer before the ice ages, but the earliest human habitation, probably something deeply shamanic and interesting, was 33,000 years ago. So I'd like to call up my very good friend, Lavinia, who is the Irish language teacher, to supplement my commentary with some commentary of her own on the fantastic heritage that is the Irish language. And we have agreed, I was born in Galway, so she's from Connemara. We have agreed that I'll ask a question, she'll answer, and then I might have to wrestle the microphone off her, but remember, we've got 33,000 years of heritage to try and get across to you, but one of those great angles of heritage is, of course, the Irish language. So Lavinia, can you tell us, what is it like to be teaching the Irish language at this great center for culture?
Sure, it's great. Well, first I have to say you get a bye because you were born in Galway. It's brilliant, Patrick. It's just fabulous. I mean, when I came here to Minnesota about nearly 6 years ago now, I never thought for wildest dreams I'd be in a community like this, and I really was mourning leaving San Francisco, to be honest with you, because I was leaving an amazing community behind, and I didn't think there would be one here, but the community here is just fabulous, and I adore it.
Can you talk about how the Irish language learning community has grown in the last few years?
Oh, it's been phenomenal. I remember Tom Ridshaw knocked on my door one day. I suppose it started with me looking for a translator for my little baby. They wouldn't want me to translate for him, but we had to get another person who would speak Irish. So Tom Ridshaw ended up at my door, and he was telling me about this place called the Celtic Junction. So I ended up in here, and I remember coming in, and they were in the library. But Tom was doing a beginner's class at the time, Gaeilge Guns Throw, and sure, then I came in and I joined Tom, and to be honest, I wasn't really sure. I wasn't taking it all that serious, so I was coming in for a bit of crack, a bit of fun. And sure, now we've just grown tremendously. The students are serious learners, and they've, just this June, a number of our students completed the Test Sorpach na Gaeilge, and that's the first time Test Sorpach na Gaeilge was completed by students in the Midwest. So to let you know what Test Sorpach na Gaeilge is, and we have quite a number of the students here tonight who took that exam as well. Mashib. So in 2001, a European framework was set up that you could go to any country and you would be able to learn the language of that country, and our new Irish Gaeilge Shnanya. And so the TEG was born, and the TEG is the official Irish certification for somebody wanting to learn the Irish language. And so to think that we've gone from a number of students in the library, but we've grown not just with that, we've set up a number of classes. And the demand it's actually trying to keep up with the demand now is the job. And so our students are moving on now. So they've done the oral exam last summer, and next summer they're going to take on the written, listening and oral exam again, just for good luck. And they're also we have another level moving up. So we're going to, so we've got all the levels. We're slowly working up. So if you go to the Maynooth University website, our Irish College is now part of that. We're the location for Testa Sorapach in the Midwest.
So one of the benefits for us over the last year is we have moved to Zoom, and we've been able to bring in students nationally and internationally. So Lavinia, what's it like to have students coming to you from Canada and across the country?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's amazing. Actually, well, first of all, I have to say the students here, I adore all the students, all the, but it's wonderful because we have students now, like today, we had students from Milwaukee. So our Irish classes were on from this morning, from 8:30 this morning until 3 p.m. this afternoon. That's what our Saturdays are like. So today we had students in our class from Milwaukee, Chicago, Indiana, Prince Edward Island, British Columbia, California, from Fresno, from, oh goodness me, I'll forget somebody, Monterey, Santa Clara in the Bay, and then of course all our own students in the Midwest as well, not to forget all of them, both Minneapolis, St. Paul and all the surrounding area, not to forget anybody.
Very good.
It's quite amazing actually.
So thank you, Lavinia. So the next section we're going to see some testimonials from some of our students and their appreciation for some of the great work our teachers and their enjoyment of our learning community.
Before the Celtic Junction existed, or before I found the Celtic Junction, I was really kind of in a seeking mode. I was looking for ways to connect to my Irish heritage. All my Irish grandparents, or grandparents of Irish descent, had long since passed, and I was just curious and wanting that connection, and I was just kind of Googling around and thinking about the language, the Irish language. And there was a class right here in St. Paul, so I signed up, and so I did nothing before that, before Celtic Junction, until I found it. That was my first step, really. I'm going to tell a little story.
Good.
So the first day of class, Tom, the instructor of the beginning Irish class, he had kind of made a list of what people's name would be in Irish, and my name, which is like my long form of my name, is Elizabeth, so he told me that was Ailish. So I went home and I looked that up just to kind of see what it says about the name, and it is linked to Elizabeth, but it's also, this is actually a little bit emotional for me. It's also more closely linked to Alice. So there's like these ties, the way the language kind of shifts around. And Alice was my mother's name and her mother's name. And her mother died before I was born. And she was actually connected on the German side, but it was like through this, I just felt like this, because I came there seeking ancestry, and then it was like, oh my gosh, I'm Alice, you know? Yeah, so that was like actually kind of, it like kind of really hit me in the heart, you know, to start that. That's what it was for me. Yeah.
Wow.
See, I feel a little, it gets me a little emotional.
That's
yeah.
good. You're not the only one who
It was
has...
like, oh yeah, like you seek that ancestry and there it is. I think that anyone who's looking for a connection to Irish heritage, I'm sure they'll find something here. I think it's just, there's so many opportunities, and it's filling a gap that I had. I think it might for other people too. Lots of classes and just public events to participate in.
I've always been interested in foreign languages, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. I got a bachelor's degree from UCLA in linguistics, and I dabbled around with a lot of them.
Right.
And my first attempt at learning Irish was checking out some really bad tapes from the library, where you couldn't understand what they were saying. You couldn't tell a puff or a duff or, you know, so I just gave up. And then we moved to Minnesota, and then I Googled it, and it was, what an amazing thing. So then I kind of went a little overboard, and I signed up for every class I could get a hold of, because, you know, I mean, what if it went away? I mean, I might move. There might not be enough interest. I mean, all sorts of things could happen. So I just kind of signed up for a lot of classes. And so I'm 3/4 Irish heritage. And so I feel pretty strongly about saving endangered languages. And so in particular, this would be the endangered language I want to save. I really like Lavinia a lot. And probably another thing to know about her, besides that her style is very personal and very warm, is that it isn't like you just are assigned a textbook and then you have this homework and, you know, the kind of usual approach you might have had toward learning a language. She listens to a lot of the feedback from the students. I went over with 2 fellow students from the classes here. Yeah, and we went over for a month and we studied at Carrow Row. And we go basically Monday through Friday to class. They had a lot of cultural things they did in the evening too. And we were there for 4 weeks.
Is this like one of the best places you think you could be to, if you wanted to get some proficiency?
I'm of a retirement age, and we have talked about moving away because we don't like Minnesota winters. It's so good. It's keeping me in Minnesota.
Oh, that's,
yeah, that's pretty
good
amazing.
to hear, yes.
This is really hard, you know, in COVID times for a lot of things to stay afloat. I wanted to say, if you can, whatever you can, please make a donation to the Celtic Junction Arts Center. It's very important.
Tá cúpla focail agah. Tá brón orm. I have been one of Lavinia's students, not a very good one, I'm afraid. How many of you actually have tried some Irish? Anyone? Hands in the air? Kieran, you better put your hand up. I know you were put through it. It's not easy. And so, you know, for these folks to find that connection and that love through that language is so special. But we actually want to recognize the fact that the organization and the program has grown so much. We registered our 800th student registration. And it just so happens that that particular person has started right from the very beginning has not ever missed a single quarter and has taken every single Irish language class there is to have. We have a special gift for them tonight, which they have no idea about, and they're going to have to come on the stage. So you get a free class of your choice, Ms. Kate Daly. Will you come on up for a minute? Come here for just a minute. Do you want to throw any words out there, Escuelga? She got that one. Anything?
No, I think one of the things that's especially interesting is I started out here because I was interested in learning how to play the whistle. And so that all started with, where's Brian? Brian, and then from
He's
Brian.
He's getting ready for his library portion, I think.
And then from Brian, when the library opened up, I volunteered to work in the library, and then through cataloging, then I started becoming interested in Irish language, and then started taking the Irish language classes, and like Suan mentioned, we went to Ireland for that summer, and then came back, and so now I'm helping hanging photos on the wall too. So anyway, thank you very much, and I've really enjoyed the classes here.
Thank you so much, Kate. Round of applause, Kate Daly. Now the program has grown. We do want to move and tell you about a few of the other things, but you guys, you're going to get a chance to stretch and move around because we've got a little bit more playback for our studio audience. You guys can stretch while our live stream audience sees the next part. But before we do that, we actually have a very important piece to recognize. Now, we did a little bit while the ambassador was in town, but we have a particular gentleman that really stepped up to see that this program was growing, that we needed a classroom, and he wanted to make sure that it was a dedicated classroom. He's not just a champion of the humanities, but also a steadfast supporter, a really sure-footed advisor, and has become a great friend. He came up with a $100,000 donation challenge and told us we had to meet it. It was such a tall order for a little organization. We'd never done anywhere near that amount. We did that within 6 months. So I think, floored him, and he might want to say a couple words. Tom, would you come on up here? Mr. Thomas Redshaw, everybody.
Plaque that will be outside of the classroom. I gave the classroom because I have a different kind of belief in Celtic Junction, and I'll give you a sermon on that in a bit. Anyway, the classroom is dedicated to the memory of my mother, who died in 2018 at the age of 100 years. Her family was from County Armagh, and they were all Protestants. Explains the tie. Okay.
We'll forgive you, Tom.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll take this one.
Yeah. I have a different theory about Celtic Junction, and it won't take long to explain, but please get out your notebooks and sharpen your pencils. I think that the role of higher education, and I've worked for years at St. Thomas, having been director of the Center of Irish Studies there. I think the role of higher education in the United States is rapidly shifting towards the technological and towards job training, etc. And I don't know as any of us can really push against that steamroller with much effect. What happens is that the humanities, history, literature, and languages increasingly are shunted to the side in basic college education. There's something to be got over or ignored. But where in every community are people to seek the wisdom that is in the study of history, the study of literature, and that can be got at through the study of languages? I think one of the small roles Celtic Junction can play is to give a home to the active pursuit of the humanities in everyday life. How does history affect you? Well, first it comes with genealogy, and then it comes with how the stories of family connect with actual historical events. And then, as Kate discovered, finally, these are in Ireland, sometimes these are in another language. Well, what's that all about? And if we go back 33,000 years now, the Celts were not there then. We don't know what they spoke. But if we go to about 5,000 BC, okay, Celtic languages are being spoken. The Celtic language group is active in Ireland, and it evolves into Irish and Scottish and all those other things we love. So I wanted to be sure that these pursuits had not only a library, but also a classroom in which they could be followed and pursued. So now every public event by a speaker always has a couple of focal ascailga. Tasul mor agam go quidji na heliana and heliatora agus an Sean Nosana Achur Lechela Ansho Gachla Gachicha Agus Shinang Gachlor Gachi. Thank you.
Jim and Patrick, you want to help us move on to the next part? We have a real special treat here, and Jim will help us move on to that. And with that, I just wanted to make sure Tom's mother got her name out there. Our classroom dedicated to Elizabeth Dillon Redshaw.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you, Tom. I only know one word in Irish, and that's sláinte. I'm happy to report that I get to put that to use quite regularly. One of the things I get to do here at Celtic Junction that I really enjoy is helping out in the library. And that was where I first met Lavinia. And the first time we met, I was up there cataloging CDs or something I hope was helpful. And Lavinia was up there either preparing for a class or just wrapping up after a class, and she had her son with her. And as lads will be, he was a little rambunctious and running around and getting into trouble, and some of us never grow out of that. And so Lavinia and I would be chatting in English, but she would be chiding him in Irish. And I was actually quite glad I didn't know what she was saying, and that the only word I knew was sláinte. Having dealt with my own Irish mother a time or two, I knew about where that conversation was going, but I was happy to be on the outside listening in. So one more time, we would ask that you dig deep if you may, if you can. Go to the QR code there on your screen. We will also take your donations at the CJAC website or givemin.org. Thank you so much for what you've done so far. We hope we don't get too outrageous here asking, but this is a fundraiser. Our next section is going to deal with the library. And at this time, I would like to invite Brian Miller, our library director, to come up and fill you in on things. If you haven't had a chance, he's responsible for the pictures along the wall, and he'll tell you about those. There's also a Doherty family donation back at the table. If you haven't had a chance to look at those, please do. He'll fill you in on all of that and goings on at the library. And at the meantime, I'll try to find the book that I lost.
No pressure, no late fees as of yet. Well, thanks everybody, and seriously, thank you so much for attending this evening and supporting the Celtic Junction Arts Center. I'm Brian Miller, the director of the Celtic Junction's library, the Owen McKiernan Library. And we have a reading room, we have a beautiful space, and we have a beautiful collection of books. But with COVID, that hasn't really been the focus over the last little bit of time. And I'm going to focus today mainly on the other thing we do, which is our archival work, and I find it quite exciting, and it was also quite possible to continue doing that kind of work thanks to the internet and online ways of sharing things and keeping the research going and all that over the last couple of years. So we're going to start off here with a video about one of my proudest projects the library has done over the last year, and that's the digitization of 50 television programs produced by Dr. Owen McKiernan himself in the early 1960s. So check this out, and then I'll come up and yak at you more.
The attitude in the school is perhaps more formal than what we're accustomed to in America, but I think all of us would be pleased with the great emphasis upon music. And I'd like to play for you a selection, a tape that I made in a Dublin school and show you the illustrations of the students singing. It begins, you see, with this selection of the wood for Hurleys, H-U-R-L-E-Y-S. The wood must be very special. The grain must be followed. You'll be able to note the shape of the stick, which hereafter I shall probably call by its proper name, come on. You see it there, spelled before you did. Now, you see, the stick must be made of ash. Ash, Irish ash, is the most supple, the most flexible wood that can be used for this particular stick. It is shaped to follow the grain. Generally, the general wish, at any rate, is to use trees that are about 10 years old. They have the greatest amount of elasticity, and they have grown enough so as to provide a proper number of sticks of the best quality. I said I would call them come-ons, didn't I? Now you see the come-on has a slightly curved base. Isn't it nice to see an old man passing on his skills and his observations to the younger ones? And the boys who are present at this operation, I'm sure, are getting a feeling for the tradition.
Yeah, thanks. Woo! I'm sure they are. We're going to, for those that want, at the end here, Cormac's got a bandsaw we're going to get out in the back, and we're going to go out in our suit coats after a few more drinks, if you guys want to come. But that film there is, so those are two excerpts for two of the films that he made. Go ahead, and if you could do those mics, then I'll move over to the other mic. wearing like 5 hats at once here, as I always am. But they were part of 2 different series. One was called Ireland Rediscovered, the first one in '62, and then over the course of 1963, he recorded 40 more episodes of what was called Irish Diary, and they were all filmed on Como Avenue, just up the road. And incredible sort of moment, really, for Irish studies, because it was that series, those 2 series, that when they went out and they were so popular around the United States, they were syndicated in public TV all over the nation, and they spurred the creation of the Irish American Cultural Institute here in St. Paul, and they also kind of helped spur the starting of an Irish Studies program at St. Thomas, the way I understand it. So it was a really important series, and they were languishing in this old format of tapes, and we were able to, thanks to your support and thanks to a grant from the Minnesota Historical Society, we were able to bring them to life. So isn't that great? Here, I'm gonna shift down the stage. See, look at that. That's a little action for you now. The guy's moving around. It's, yeah, have Bazooki will travel. So we, like I said, we had support from the Minnesota Historical Society for that, and I was just going to read their official language. They deemed that selection of videos to be a significant historical and cultural resource for the people of Minnesota. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And really, I think because Minnesota has such a long history of Irish people living here and Irish arts taking place here and Irish cultural celebration happening in the Twin Cities, there are a lot of other things that we might deem significant historical and cultural resources for the people of Minnesota that the McKiernan Library can bring to light, can preserve, and can celebrate through our archival work. And that's what we try to do. So Owen McKiernan was he was speaking about Irish history in a lot of those videos, but as time passes, even the historian becomes history, and now his programs are part of the history of the Irish in Minnesota, of course, because he was a very prominent Irish Minnesotan among the many other things that we could say about the incredible Dr. Owen McKiernan. And his work here was just one way that we have celebrated Irish culture here in St. Paul. And so we've done other projects then on other Irish Minnesotans. So another big project we did over the last year was really a number of things celebrating a man named Tony Doherty, who was born in Scott County, a place called Cedar Lake Township, farm country southwest of the Twin Cities, and he moved into St. Paul in 1942 and played his fiddle with his daughter Marge at the piano. Oh, look, there they are. All around St. Paul in the late 40s and the 50s, so really a glimpse into an earlier time. And they played on the farm down in Scott County before that. So we did a number of projects with some recordings that we were able to track down of Tony Doherty and his daughter playing. We did initially a digital collection on our website. We also digitized a 400-page book of handwritten memoirs by his wife about growing up on the farm and music on the farm in Scott County. Added that to our collection. I wrote an article for the Arts Review that the Celtic Junction Arts Center puts out quarterly. I did a talk at Irish Arts Week on the Doherty family. And then we did something really cool. We did our first cross-listed class with the Center for Irish Music, and I taught a class on the music of Tony Doherty through that. And the Center for Irish Music then ran with this material and made one of Tony Doherty's tunes part of their common repertoire that is now getting taught to hundreds, literally hundreds of students at the Center for Irish Music. And they even did a collaboration with Irish Music School in Armagh, bringing it full circle to play music right from Minnesota with a group from Armagh over the internet. So we're moving on from that then to another Irish Minnesotan, a very fascinating guy named Patrick Hill, who, Patrick, I think, mentioned earlier that we're coming up on the centenary of Irish independence. I'm getting the exact word wrong there, I think. But Paddy Hill was a veteran of the Irish War of Independence himself. He was from County Tipperary, and he left Ireland in great disappointment after the Irish Civil War, which he also fought in, and came here to St. Paul and was foundational in starting the Irish American Club, which is the exhibition we're working on right now Irish American Club of the Twin Cities. He was also a fiddle player, and we have some recordings of him, just like we have recordings of Tony Doherty, and these come from Charlie Heyman, one of our local musicians who met up along with Tom Dahill with Patty Hill in the late 70s. Patty Hill and John Curtin, who some might remember, and they recorded Patty telling stories, reading poems, singing songs, and lilting. So Adrian O'Shea is going to come on stage right now, and there's a really cool and very unusual jig that Patty Hill knew that he said he learned from a guy named Johnny Powell, and there's a really cool picture of Johnny Powell's big Irish band on the wall over there. But we're going to play that jig now, but first you're going to listen to our source recording. So this is just a little taste of what we have in the archives at the Owen McKiernan Library. This is a recording made by Charlie Heyman. Brace yourself for hissing and background noise. That's the joy of archival recordings. Here it comes.
Well, we thought maybe, do you want to put that Fisherman's Widow down before we get it out of your mind?
Yeah. Well, you still got it. Oh, I just took it home and or whistle it.
That's fine. Do that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Dum 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 idle dum 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 idle dum 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 idle dum 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 idle dum here dum dum idle dum da right dum da right idle dum dum da right idle dum da right idle dum dum idle
That's Adrian O'Shea. So that tune, and actually the one she played after it too, that's going to be on an upcoming album by a band that I play with called Bua, with the great Sean Gavin from Detroit and Devin Shepard from Chicago playing the fiddle. So this music, you know, when you find it and it goes out there, it's kind of almost like what Cormac was saying, puts Minnesota on the map, at least for trad Irish music nerds, which is a strong community. So Patty Hill and Tony Doherty both were involved in the Irish American Club, Twin Cities Irish American Club. I found from doing research that there were other clubs that used that very same name before the 1940s, but the one that Patty Hill and Tony were involved in kind of got going around 1948, and it was a very important institution in this community in the 50s and 60s. They had weekly dances. They started out just down the road, right near University and Pryor Avenue, just really just right down the road, having a weekly dance there at a place called Woodruff Hall. They moved around. They went over to Frogtown for a while. They had a hall there. They had by the 60s, they were on Ford Parkway across from the Ford plant, but they also had regular picnics in Newell Park, so this neighborhood we're in has a long history in the Irish community. But it's been fun, really fun to research the Irish American Club, and I've started to be able to talk to some people in town that are still around, involved in the club, like Henry Scanlon, Tom Scanlon's brother, and there's a woman, Pat Mahoney, who I'm going to mention in verse in a moment, who is going to meet with me this coming week, who was involved in the club. The Curtins that I mentioned there a second ago, John Curtin and his brother, I think, Pat Curtin. Anyway, it's really fun history, and it has music and dance all interwoven in it. I'm so excited to do this project. We're going to have a big exhibition by Irish Arts Week in April. So look forward to that. I did a bunch of digging. In addition to the tapes that Charlie brought in, they have some archives over at St. Thomas, Patty Hill's papers, and I found a really cool piece. It's a letter written by Patty Hill to the great Marty McHugh, who's still alive and is this incredible connection back to the night. We think now that Marty probably came over here about 48, 49 himself. He just turned, we think, 92, though he's really cagey about his age. Anyway, he's from County Roscommon, and he's a link to this old time. And when he came over, a lot of Irish came over after World War II. A lot of them got drafted into the Korean War right after arriving here. And he was sent off to Alaska. And Patty Hill, I know, strange turn of events, Patty Hill wrote him a letter when he was in Alaska in verse. And I'm now going to sing you the letter. And it's fantastic because it's perfect for this event. It describes St. Patrick's Day circa 1955 in St. Paul and everything to prepare for the event and what the event was like. So we'll see. It's got a heck of a lot of words. Wish me luck. I thought I'd write and tell you all the news, and if I'm late, I hope you'll me excuse. 'Twas nice to get your letters in the past. I'm glad to know you're coming home at last. Well, I suppose that you would like to know about St. Patrick's dance. Well, here I go. Preparing for that night is quite a chore. Details must be arranged 4 weeks before. So committees were set up for various jobs. Policemen hired to control the mobs. John Curtin was selected for the door, Mike Sullivan in charge around the floor. And then to sell the tickets for the beer, we appointed Catherine Burke, our financier. To let the public know we'd be their host, Pat Curtin was selected for that post. Well, committees, they all worked with heart and hand. How smoothly things were run was simply grand. Pat Mahoney was chosen for our queen. To be sure, the hall was all decked out in green. In charge of entertainment, Miss McGing engaged the talent to dance and sing. Coley McDonough in charge of each event. The Carnival King and Queen he did present. Well, he did the master job, the best in town. But good old Coley never lets us down. He's always there to lend a helping hand. Our guests and members all agree he's grand. Well, Pat Curtin had some pictures in the press and circulars to all we did address. There were radio announcements of the ball, inviting folks to join us in the hall. And Keneally he arranged with KSTP that Irish music o'er the air would be. Don Riley and Bob Ryan did their share in putting out that music o'er the air. Oh, the atmosphere was Irish round the hall, with harps and shamrocks pasted to each wall. Imported here from Ireland's sunny shore were prizes to be given at the door. And Tony and his band we did engage. Their instruments and drums did fill the stage. Keneally and Martin Griffin did appear in aprons, selling pop and ice and beer. Oh, to tell you all was there would take too long. The crowd was far beyond 600 strong. Whiskey too was plentiful all night, but best of all, we never had a fight. So the program too I thought was very fine, and the seniors thought the young ones were divine. The singing too I really did enjoy. Young Kelly sang The Wild Colonial Boy. We had a lot of guests from out of town, and also local fans of great renown. Joe Connolly was there with Louis Hill. They were shaking hands with every Jack and Jill. And Dan Barrett and his wife arrived by plane. 'Twas good to see that couple back again. I wish that in St. Paul they both could stay. They will return again, Lacuna J. Joe Dowling, he was there, I knew he would. Well, he's looking skinny, but he's feeling good. Well, that's the news about our Irish ball. We really shook the rafters from the hall. But once again, our Irish flag was stole. The culprit left us nothing but the pole. Yours truly, Patty Hill. Woo! All right. Tell you what, that was a lot of walking around singing to myself. So I got two things I'd like to say here to finish up. One is to just give a huge thanks to a special couple donors that stepped forward as it happened right before the pandemic and said we want to do something really sustainable to help the library. And so they came and they said, what if we gave ongoing support for a period of years to be able to fund your position as library director? And this was, we didn't know what was about to happen. This was like in January 2020. But it's just been, this is a dream job for me to be able to do this library position and to work here at the Celtic Junction in this capacity and get to do the research and all the outreach and all that. So I just wanted to give a huge thank you to Tim and Kim Scanlon for supporting my position. Thank you so much. It really does, it means a lot to me. And then it's just to ask you all to consider supporting the Celtic Junction Arts Center tonight. What was that phrase? Significant historical and cultural resource. I like that. That's official now. That's from the Minnesota Historical Society, so it's real. But it really is a worthwhile project. I think it's been quite convincing, I think, what's been on the screen and on the stage tonight. And I'm so proud of the work we do, and thanks for coming, and please support the Celtic Junction Arts Center. Thank you.
So I think if I am invited to do this again, I might sing my part. Have to get together with Brian and have him write me one of those songs that only has 3 notes in it, so I can get that squared away. Well, before we run out of time here, we know you've been sitting there for a long time, and we do have one more section to go here, but we would like to give you all a chance to stretch out. You've been sitting there for a couple of hours. So at this time, I would like to ask anybody who has used the library to please stand. And anyone who has come to a concert, please stand. I suppose under that we've had some lectures here, so if you've come to a lecture, please stand. Oh, have you come to class on time? Something I'm unfamiliar with. So while you're standing, I'm happy to report that so far we have received a little over $5,000 in donations. So how about a round of applause for all of our generous donors. Thank you so much on behalf of the board and the staff here at Celtic Junction. Well, our last section, I'm going to bring Natalie up one more time, and probably Cormac as well, to talk a little bit about the outreach program here. So, Natalie and or Cormac.
I think this is a roll tape, Jim. This is what? Roll tape.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, maybe I won't get to do this again. I'll have to worry about the song.
Hi, I'm Tom Whalen with Irish Fair. Our mission is to promote and cultivate Irish culture here in the area. We've got great partners in Celtic Junction Arts Center, Natalie and Cormac, are living that mission just as we do. When you go to Celtic Junction Arts Center, you can see dance, you can listen to music, you can pore over the volumes of historic Irish literature in the library, and you can visit the Irish Fair office. We're thrilled to be part of Celtic Junction Arts Center, and we hope that you'll offer your support to them too. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Catherine Reed Day, and I'm the founder and chair of the Creative Enterprise Zone, and really excited to be supporting Celtic Junction in this special time. You know, when we set the boundaries for the Creative Enterprise Zone, we included Celtic Junction. We drew that boundary over on Prior because we wanted to keep that creative force in the neighborhood. We wanted it to be a symbolic anchor point for the work we're doing, and so it's great to be this many years later and have Celtic Junction thriving and such an important part, making such an important contribution to the neighborhood. You know, the spirit of Celtic Junction includes generosity, so I hope that you will really consider being extremely generous with your support for the Celtic Junction in this time.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mitra Jalali. I'm so proud to represent the Celtic Junction and the whole Midway neighborhood here on the St. Paul City Council, where I serve our community as the councilwoman for Ward 4. I just want to say thank you for your investment and support of the Celtic Junction in this incredible year that is full of turning points, I think, that call us to think about who we want our society to be. And I can say for years and years, Celtic Junction has been a part of creating the relationships and the community and the arts and creativity and leadership that we need to help move our city forward. I'm so proud that we have a great arts and dance and culture organization like Celtic Junction here in our community, an award-winning, regionally recognized organization that takes the love and the fire and the passion of Irish dance and Celtic culture and brings it out to our broader community. Through my time as a councilwoman, I've seen the young dancers and old dancers alike of this beautiful organization at community festivals, at different neighborhood gatherings, and at all the different events that bring our community together, and I think that's wonderful. So thank you so much for supporting yet another year of this great organization. We hope to see them stay for a really long time. It's a very special, unique place that brings joy to so many people, and in addition to being just a place that shares the art and the culture of its beautiful heritage, we also are lucky that it's willing to give back to the community through its beautiful location here, where we have annual gatherings of holiday arts and business festivals, supporting the local economy and the creative economy, and also just being willing to be a meeting place for folks who are trying to bring people together in other ways. So thank you so much to our great community. Thank you to the Celtic Junction for all that you do. I'm really proud to represent you and look forward to continuing to work together. Thanks.
My name is Martin O'Mallure. I'm the publisher of the Irish Echo in New York. I was a great admirer of Owen McKiernan, and I really believe that his legacy is being carried forward admirably by the Celtic Junction Arts Center and by Natalie O'Shea. I wish you well in the time ahead, and I hope you really knock it out of the park at your fundraiser. Good luck. Slán go fóill.
We've been really honored to be recognized, not just within our neighborhood, our community, our state. We're part of the Midwest Association of Cultural Centers, also part of the NICONA, the National Association of Irish Centers. And I want to thank you guys. What you've allowed us to do, and I don't think you might realize this, is you have given Minnesota a voice in the larger Irish American world. We are recognized by the Government of Ireland as the Irish Cultural Center of Minnesota, and just recently we have been appointed a grant of $95,000 to continue our work as the Cultural Center, and you guys have done that right there. The $5,000 that Steve mentioned, that Jim mentioned, actually comes from, is one donation that just dropped. We haven't actually had a chance to kind of total up as we've been going through, but before we started this portion of the program, we were at $14,750, and we just got a $5,000 check. So thank you so much, you guys, for being a part of this and for being here tonight. This larger voice, this outreach, you know, it's really hard to quantify because outreach is is everything that's not library, concerts, or education. It's absolutely everything else. It's when we go and we do the Children's Festival. It's when we step out into Hamlin Elementary. It's when we go to the fair down in Blue Earth. It's when we take our program into schools. And so what we're doing, we're absolutely on a mission to share what the Irish culture is. And for me is, you know, one of those funny half-breeds or muggles, whatever your word is for us at this point. It's under my skin. It's something that I feel very passionate about, and I wouldn't work this hard for this if it wasn't for each one of you sitting right there and for the community that this serves. So we're going to hear next from some of those kids and families in the community, what it means to them.
My favorite part about the Celtic Junction is coming to see all my friends and learning new dances.
What the Celtic Junction means to me is culture, consistency, and community. I have learned so much about my heritage through the study of Irish dance and Irish music.
The reason my family loves the Celtic Junction primarily is because my daughter comes here to dance many hours a week, but we found a community here which is separate from the school community where my daughter goes, or our church community, or the friends that we had before. And we've built a community with folks that are coming here for various reasons. We find lots to do, and they're great people. Keeps us coming back.
The Celtic Junction for us it's been a wonderful experience now for going on 7 years for our children. It's been an intergenerational activity for my mother-in-law, Maria's mom. We've been able to enjoy wonderful music. We've made so many great friends here. Our daughters have just had wonderful instruction, and they've made great friends that will be lifelong friends for them. And we couldn't have asked for a better experience.
The Celtic Junction is very important to me. I got started in this by hearing about it from a friend, and Cormac and Natalie and their whole group have been tremendous. It has helped me when I have needed something to do and exposed me to a whole lot of Irish traditions I never knew. I'm Irish, and I've enjoyed tremendously learning about my Irish heritage through the Celtic Junction, and dance means a lot to me.
The people I've met at the Celtic Junction are some of my closest friends, mentors, and teachers.
The Celtic Junction is special to me because when I come to the Celtic Junction, all my friends are with me, and I get to learn new steps.
The Celtic Junction is a unique opportunity in the form of a place where people can come together and appreciate all forms of Irish music. Everything from the dance scene to the strictly traditional scene to the insane Celtic rock scene. Yes, we have such a thing. Everybody comes together here and feeds off each other's energy and everybody's enthusiasm. It's unique in that regard, all Irish all the time.
It's such a crossroads for so many Irish organizations. The Irish Fair, Center for Irish Music, of course, has it. Irish Music and Dance Association does a number of events here. The Friends of St. Patrick. Even people don't have to do their events here. The Emmett hurling team, other teams are present. And what's really marvelous between the dance school and the CIM is you get these young people who might come to play a flute or learn dancing, and yet they hear somebody sing or they hear somebody else play a fiddle, and then they get interested in doing these other things too. I don't think that could really happen if it wasn't all happening here at the Celtic Junction.
Your financial support allows me to continue following my dreams, spreading my love for Irish dance and Irish music wherever I go.
And if he doesn't melt your heart, I don't know what will. You know, the most amazing thing happens in these walls right here, and it doesn't matter which room it is. These kids come in here and they don't have their phones in their hands, and they don't have their heads down, and they're looking at you, and they're doing dance, and they're making music, and they're hearing concerts, and they're actually living. They're living and being and breathing, and they're connecting with us. And what you guys do with every dollar that you do is you helped us connect over the last 12 years, and hopefully for the next 20. And we had a very special event take place just about a month and a half ago when we were host to the ambassador from Ireland. So you might see yourselves in this one. We picked a few little special pieces of this reel to feature one of our highlights of our year.
But certainly in America here, our culture is a key part of what we are and how we relate to America and to Irish America. So that's why I want to pay warm tribute to Natalie and Cormac and everyone here at Celtic Junction for the great work that they've been doing for so many years to fly the flag for Irish culture and Irish heritage here in Minnesota. And I think it's one of the best places I've seen in my travel. It's a really, really impressive operation you have here, and it's a great credit to you that you're able to put together a centre like this and to turn it into what you turn it into. And I know you have ambitions for the future as well, and I applaud that fully also, because we can't stand still. We have to keep holding our game, because the world is changing and we need to change with it. So again, look, thank you all for coming here this evening. Thank you for the support you've given to Celtic Junction. It's a huge resource for Ireland in this part of the United States, and I will never be complacent, and I will never fail to fully recognise the contribution of cultural organisations like Celtic Junction all over this country, and I will continue to argue strongly for as much support as we can generate from the Irish Government for the activities of the organisations like Celtic Junction. So again, Granny Magu Blair assault Valenshaw and Yov assault Eastern Lord assault Falsha a Churron.
I wanted to give a classroom to Celtic Junction because one of the chief purposes of Celtic Junction is to educate ourselves in our own heritage, but also to educate others in it. And I myself follow, however haltingly, the Irish language classes at Celtic Junction. It seems to me that the more that Celtic Junction can teach Irish culture and history and language and literature in a slightly more formal way, it seems that that will deepen the cultural transmission that Celtic Junction really serves so well, and which you support so well, and which indeed Ambassador Mulholland theorized so well for us all. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
They have said that she changed the molecules of our lineage, and that she could give lessons at the gates of heaven itself. Miss Anne Heyman.
think I'm a little at loss for words. Thank you, Natalie, Celtic Junction, and thank you, this community. And this is where I'm from, and you saw me from the very beginning days, back in the early 1970s.
For her final book, this is her 5th collection of poetry, like Slowly Rolling Backwards. Her work has been compared to Mary Oliver and Adrienne Rich. It ranges from the hilarious to the metaphysical. Our own poet laureate, Ethna McKiernan.
Okay, I'm going to read a poem, short to medium length, called The Day My Mother Gave Me Away to the Tinkers. I would have been 8 years old in Dublin. I was dying to get out of there. She threatened this before, thinking it would cause me great fear after whatever I did the umpteenth time. She with 9 children that year in Dublin, and me the boldest and the worst. I couldn't wait to be among them, those bright scarves and tools and horse-drawn caravans, their campfire at night and sounds of fiddles and tin whistles, the mattress with moonlight shining on the 3 babies piled upon it. Traveling was an itch, raw and sweet in my bones. How could I live on plain Mount Auburn Avenue in Donnybrook and walk to Mucker's school when the world of mountains and berries and lakes awaited? How could I carry that sliced loaf of bread from Johnston, Mooney, and O'Brien when we could shape our own and smell the yeast rising hot from the hot stones? When I looked back, my beautiful mother was crying. It would be a year before I returned, changed. How I'd miss her. Thank you.
So with that, I hope you realize what a special moment that was. And that I want you guys all to stand up now and stand up with me. Because we have lost 3 of those people in those videos. And not everybody knows everyone, but that's actually not what it's about. It's about living in the moment. It's about seizing each day. And it's about making the connections. The Ambassadors event, you guys did that. Ethna's moment for her poetry, you did that. That little boy who sits with pride as he learns his dances and plays his harp, you did that. Thank you for every ticket you buy. Thank you for every time you pass into this threshold. You guys are weaving the spell. You are making magic, and you are who makes the Celtic Junction. Thank you, everybody, and good night. Give yourselves a round of applause. With that, please enjoy each other's company. We've been shorted of it for such a long time. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, we have an update. I forgot about the money part, you guys.
She
suck
forgot
at this.
about the money part.
I'm terrible.
So, Cormac has just handed me the latest tally. We are now at $22,750. Thank you all so much. So we've come to the end of a truly grand evening, but we couldn't have done it without the help of so many of our assistants. On behalf of the Celtic Junction staff and board of directors, I would like to thank the following for making tonight possible. Lissa Miller and Lavinia Finnerty were our catering managers. Kieran Folliard provided us with some samples, at least, of his new Red Locks whiskey. Thank you, Kieran. As soon as I'm off the clock, I will be sampling. Thanks to our opening band, Rupali, Chad McAnally, Siobhan Duggan, and Buddy Farron. Thanks to my pal, Piper Jim Burke, for escorting me to the stage at the very beginning. And of course, to our priceless volunteers, Adrian and Carmen O'Shea, Carmen and Gabby Pascarella, Maureen McBurney and Greg, Christine McKenna, and Derek Anderson. Thank you all so much for making this possible. Thank you all for coming out tonight and for your donations. We couldn't do any of this without you. Congratulations. Give yourself another round of applause. Good night, everybody. And one more time, Slancha.
Ladies and gentlemen, one time, let's give it up for Cormac and Natalie O'Shea. Come on. Come on.